Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Melanie. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
Good. Just want to introduce you to everyone watching today. They're used to seeing me and Melissa, but here I have Steve joining me today. He is the team leader of the Employment Services program at CAS.
Hello, everyone.
Glad to have you here
Yes.
with us today, Steve.
Oh, thanks. It's good to be here, actually. I'm excited.
Yay! Um, Steve, today we're talking about self-care. And so to start, I was going to ask you how your self-care has been since we started this pandemic shutdown 3 months ago.
Well, it's been good, actually. I think if anything, it's actually forced me to be more conscious of looking after myself. And so I'm fortunate that I live really close to trails and to the water. And as soon as that happened, I made a point of going out regularly. I have two dogs, so that's the physical part was good because I think that's really important. Plus, I find sitting at a chair all day, it's not the same as working at the office, right? You move around a lot when you're in an office building. When you're at home, you don't.
So true.
Yeah. So, and the mental part, it was pretty stressful. So I started meditating again because I had the time to do it.
Yay.
So I think that's been a real plus too. I just built it right into my routine along with my yoga and stretching. So um, that part is good. The socializing for me isn't probably as severe but I've been connecting with a lot of people on Facebook and Zoom that I haven't done. So I do that fairly regularly now. Once or twice a week, I always reach out to people that I haven't really talked to in a long time. So I have friends in Australia that I've been reaching out to regularly, right? Seeing how they're doing.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Them and the emotional part, I think being home and close to family.
Mhm.
I have to be quite honest, I really enjoy that. My wife thought it would be crazy at the very beginning after a while that we would drive each other nuts, but no, it's worked out well.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean, we settled into a nice regular routine, but it's made me really conscious of looking after myself and those things. That's so important.
Yeah. What's been the impact on your mental health, do you think, with having all of those parts of your self-care addressed and taken care of?
Well, I think the mindfulness and the meditating is just really forcing me to look at things that I have control of.
Wow.
Um, and I think I become really cognizant of the fact that if I read too much of the news what's going on in the world, and
Yeah.
it gets so overwhelming that I just don't bother looking at it anymore because I don't have any control over that,
So true.
right?
Yeah.
I find if I look at every day, and I just focus on what I'm doing during that day, that helps out. That's a big stress reliever.
Good.
I think there's still stress, the unknown, but I don't have any control over that, and I don't think anyone else does.
That's right.
So
So
you can only dwell on that for so long, but after a while, you just have to let it go. That's the tricky part, right? Is letting everything go.
yes. Yeah. Knowing how to do it,
Yes,
being able to do it, just releasing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really tough thing.
It is. So true.
Yeah,
So, it's amazing. I mean, I just really applaud you, Steve, for being able to look after all the areas of self-care for your life and being able to just, know that that was important for you to do right from the get-go 3 months ago when this shutdown started.
yeah. Well,
Because
I mean, it kind of forced me to be a lot more aware of it, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But many of us aren't, and I have to admit that I didn't do a very good job addressing my self-care needs right away from the get-go. It took me a while to start realizing that I needed that. So I've got a little bit of a graphic for people to look at. Self-care is kind of like a wheel. So here we have just
Uh,
4 areas of self-care. You can break these down into many more areas, like you can break them down into the professional realm, into the mental realm, sexuality realm, whatever it is that speaks to you. But more generally, these 4 areas are what we need to feel stable and confident and strong in getting through whatever we have in our life. And when we have fulfilled all these areas in the way that we need them fulfilled, this wheel just, easily, steadily, stably
Exactly.
moves us along the road in life. And we can
Yeah.
find things just go smoothly.
Yeah.
But, and especially in the case of COVID, many of us have had restrictions put on our freedoms. And so we haven't had the resources available to fulfill these areas of self-care need in the same way as we used to. So I've cut this one out as an example that many of us had our social connections limited and restricted in ways never before.
Oh yeah.
And if we didn't find ways to compensate, it left a gap. And imagine how this wheel would turn and how would it be smooth or would it be rough? Would it falter? Would it wobble?
Oh yeah.
And how unstable and uncomfortable a person can feel when part of their self-care circle isn't being fulfilled.
Yeah. That's such a good point, right? It's like the wheel can't move forward anymore.
That's right. It gets stuck in
He's
this rut.
missing. Yeah. 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 And I think for those people that really are extroverts and like to socialize, this has been really traumatizing.
Really challenging.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But you know what? There's an easy remedy. And you spelled it out just a few minutes ago, which is finding new and alternative ways to fulfill this gap for yourself using the technological mediums that we have, the Zoom and the Skype and the phoning and the, even writing letters can
Yeah.
help us to feel more connected socially, just in different ways.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for us, we have friends over. If we're having a fire in the yard, we just practice social distancing.
Yes.
So it's different, but it does help fill that need,
Yes.
and I
Yeah. And
think
with
that's important.
absolutely, with some of the restrictions that are being lifted nowadays, we have more and more options. So, even just with those restrictions being lifted, hopefully our wheels, our self-care wheels, will just start to inflate in a way that allows that balance to return into our lives.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's a great analogy. It's a good example for people.
Yeah, yeah,
So, do you think it would help if people, if they're feeling stressed, to check in on those four areas to
ab-
see if there's a gap there that they need to work on?
yeah, absolutely. That's what happened to me when I first started working from home. Without even really realizing it, I was just, like you said, I was just spending more time on my butt, sitting in a
Yeah,
chair, staring at a screen. And like you said, it's different from working in the office where I was socializing and
yeah,
being around a lot of people that I really value. And it
yeah,
took me a while, but I realized I was getting neck aches, I was getting back aches, I was just not
yeah.
feeling myself. Realizing that I need to get out, like when I have a chance, I need to go for a hike, a walk, do some yoga,
Yes,
even just being outside gardening in my backyard
yes,
is really helpful.
yes. I agree. I think I was saying, the gardening for me is it's a real stress reliever. It
Yes,
helps you focus on what you're doing rather than thinking about the future that's so
absolutely.
uncertain.
Yeah. And it's about focusing on something else that's giving life, that's
Yeah,
living, that's nurturing.
yeah,
And it grounds us in a very literal way to our earth, to,
yes.
to
I
our
agree.
creator. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just nice for people to get out, and so that's a good example where you don't have to go on a big bike trip or a hike. You can just do small little everyday things,
Yeah.
and it really goes a long way. It really helps out a lot. Helps me a lot just being outside.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. Me too. And I'm just so loving this sunshine that we're getting these days.
Yes. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I thought we could do a mindfulness, Steve. It's called a letting go mindfulness.
Okay.
And this mindfulness requires a couple of props. One prop being something that you can squeeze. I just have a balloon here filled up with popcorn
Okay.
kernels, and so something that you can squeeze a little bit into.
Okay.
And then the other prop is something, anything that represents a sense of comfort, a sense of peace, and a sense of well-being for you. So it might be something that you've collected along the way, or a gift that somebody gave to you, or
Okay.
something that
Yeah.
just really spoke to you.
Okay. Yes, I have a little hand attachment that I use to build for climbing that I use. I squeeze it.
Okay.
And so I actually, so it helps me deal with stress because I have to actually focus on doing that. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, right beside me, you don't see her, but my dog just came in too, so she's a good stress reliever.
She is a good stress reliever.
Yes. But I also have a rock from Tofino when I went to visit Tofino.
Nice.
Tofino to me represents all those four quadrants that you talked about a lot. And so this rock actually I took off from the beach in Tofino. So whenever I'm thinking I'm stressed or I'm feeling just overloaded, I just start rubbing the rock, and then Tofino comes to mind to the point where I can even hear the water, the waves.
Wow.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. So it's a very, and it meets all those four aspects, right? It's a very spiritual place.
Yes.
And it's outside, like you said, being outside in nature, you feel grounded that way.
Yeah.
There's that connection.
Lovely.
Yes.
So this is a mindfulness that people could use, especially when we're getting overwhelmed with the imbalances in our life. When we're filled with thoughts or negative feelings about what we're missing, what we're lacking, we're just not feeling fulfilled, we're just not feeling grounded in our current moment. This allows us to, it's kind of a visual and tactile way to get rid of those negative feelings, those negative thoughts.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll start just by getting yourself into a comfortable position. You know, whether you're sitting up or lying down, whatever feels good. You may close your eyes or keep them gently open on an object in front of you that isn't going to move during our mindfulness. And just focusing to begin on your breath. Just as noticing as your breath comes into your body and out of your body. You may notice how your breath comes in through your mouth, down your throat, into your belly. Noticing then how, as you breathe out, your breath comes from your belly into your throat and out your mouth. You know, just using that breath as an anchor for your attention. Noticing if it's cool or warm, whether it's soft or rough, whatever it is, it's your experience, it's your breath, and it's okay. So you may notice that as you're breathing, as you're focusing on your breathing, you may notice that there are thoughts and feelings and physical sensations that come into your mind. And if so, just gently acknowledge them. It's okay for them to be there. And then just gently redirect your attention back to your breath. Noticing the breath on the in-breath and the out-breath. Allowing the body to breathe itself as it always does. Maybe even moving that breath into whatever part of your body feels a little tense, a little achy, giving it some space. And then I'm going to ask you to put the squeezy ball into your non-dominant hand. So that's the hand that you don't write with, that you don't really do as many things with. So for me, that's my left hand. I'm going to put my balloon, my squeeze ball, into my left hand. And I'm going to ask you to bring to mind some of the negative thoughts, negative feelings that you've been having lately. It might even be a negative experience that you've had lately. So if you have felt any fear, frustration, confusion, I want you to bring that to mind right now. And as it comes to mind, imagine those negative feelings and thoughts moving from your mind down your neck, into your shoulder, down your arms, through your wrist, and into your hand as you squeeze the squeeze ball. Squeezing it as if it's a magnet that is pulling those negative thoughts, feelings, sensations from your mind, from your body, down through your arm and into the stress ball. Imagine that stress ball just collects all of those negative feelings. It empties those negative feelings out of your body and takes them captive for you. And at any time that you feel comfortable, you can let go of that stress ball and imagine that as you let go, all of those negative thoughts and feelings remain in that stress ball. And actually, as you let go, the negative feelings and thoughts just disappear. They just dissipate from the stress ball into thin air and disappear. And then if you feel like you still have some negative thoughts or negative images that you need to work through, pick up that stress ball again in your non-dominant hand, squeezing it and bringing to mind anything that is distressing you, that is bothering you, that is confusing you, and continuing to imagine those thoughts and feelings and physical sensations making the way from your mind and your body through your shoulder, down your arm, through your wrist, into your hand, and finally into the stress ball where they're held captive until you let go of the stress ball, at which time they disappear into the air like water condensation into the air. Continue to do that over and over again until you feel that the negative feelings have been released, until you no longer are bothered by the negative thoughts, the negative physical sensations. Continuing to do that as many times as you need to until you feel a peace and a calmness. And then when that is accomplished, letting your stress ball down, and then taking hold in your dominant hand, so for me that's my right hand, of the symbol that you have chosen, the artifact of peace and well-being and calm. And so picking that up in your dominant hand, and then imagining that that piece of rock or the artifact or the object that you have picked up, imagining the well-being and peace and calm that is emanating, that is coming from that object, moving through your hand, through your wrist, up your arms, over through your shoulders, up into your neck, and imagining it filling up your mind. That object is showering you with the peace, the safety, the security that you need. Grasping that object as though you're squeezing the goodness out of it, allowing it to come into your body and take residence, feeling it overfill you like a big warm hug, and continuing to hold that object and to squeeze that object until you feel full of the confidence, the peace, the calmness, the assurance that you need. And knowing that at any time in the day, you can pick up this object, pick up this symbol of calm and peace. Remember how it felt. Remember how it looked. Remember how it made you feel. And you can return to this moment and to this feeling at any time during your day when you need that peace, that calmness, that space for yourself. Again, you can continue to do this for as long as you need until you feel full of the peace and the calm and the serenity. And then when you're ready, as the mindfulness comes to a close, becoming more and more aware of your current environment, hearing the sounds around you, perhaps moving in whatever way feels comfortable, and slowly, as you're ready, opening your eyes and returning to the current conversation. How was that, Steve?
That was excellent, Melanie.
Good.
I liked it, and also Sonic, one of my dogs, also enjoyed it too.
Oh, good.
She came in just to listen and sat right here, right beside me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, I really appreciate how you you took everyone step by step and made it up really physical and tangible. Because I think that's a piece sometimes that people struggle with, right? Is that movement, like, sending, those negative emotions and, you know, letting go of it completely physically. I think that's a real key piece.
Yeah.
The breathing actually, I think, is a really good exercise too, because I don't know if people realize this, but when you're stressed, you don't really breathe deep. They're all shallow breaths,
That's true.
which probably makes it worse physically, right? So,
Yes.
that's a good reminder for me, I think,
Yeah.
is to really focus on the breathing and just focus on your breath.
Yes.
It's a good tool to have, actually.
And this mindfulness, it's hard to always have a squeeze ball and
Yeah.
a calming object available, but you
Yeah.
always have your breath available.
Oh, no, absolutely. And you can do it anywhere, right? It's amazing. And people don't even notice. And for me, actually, breathing is a really big challenge for me, even when I'm doing physical activities. So I noticed one time that when I climb, I would hold my breath.
Yeah.
And then I get exhausted and I think, what's going on? It's because I intuitively would hold my breath. So I very consciously really focus on my breathing when I'm doing things.
Totally. And I bet it gives you so much more energy and
Oh, it
strength.
does. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also helps me get calm too, I find, because
Mhm.
I'm focusing on the breathing, my breath going out of my body and inhaling in. I think that's a piece.
Nice.
Yeah, it all ties together.
All ties together. Yeah.
It's such a good skill for everyone to have, I think, especially in this day and age, because sometimes, I get reminders of how crazy this world is right now. And then I kind of panic about it and thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's where the breathing comes in.
Yeah. We're already doing it, so we might as well do it in a way that it energizes us. And
Yes, yes, yes. Very good tip. Excellent tip, actually.
thank you so much for being with me today,
Oh, you're
Steve. I
welcome.
really enjoyed our time together. And,
Yes.
anytime you want to guest star on this show, you just let me know.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And have a great week.
You too. Take care.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Next week. Bye bye.